It's always support your local football team. Never play for your local football team. So I've decided to force Scottish players to play for their local Cinch Premiership club in Football Manager 2023. For example, Kieran Tierney, although born on the Isle of Man, grew up in Wishaw. Therefore, he plays for Motherwell as they are closest to Wishaw. Likewise, Stuart Armstrong was born in Inverness. He spent some time growing up in Aberdeen, but he was born in Inverness, and as Inverness Caledonian Thistle aren't in the Premiership, he therefore has to play for Ross County. You get the gist. So I spent ages trying to find out which player grew up where they were born, which club was closest, and in some cases that was very, very difficult. For example, around Glasgow and in Edinburgh. So things might not be 100% accurate, but I've tried my best through very, very, very many Google searches, and it's time to run through the squads. There might be some mistakes. If there is, let me know in the comments down below. But let's have a look. The Suter brothers grew up in Lawrencekirk, which is closest to Aberdeen. Therefore, Aberdeen Football Club have both of the Suter brothers, both John and Harry. Good centre-backs. Calvin Ramsey is back at the club. Martin Boyle of Hibernian, born in Aberdeen, grew up in Aberdeen, therefore he plays for the Reds. Ryan Jacks back at Pittodrie, which I'm sure everyone involved would really love. And likewise, Scott Wright. Again, I'm sure people would love that. But Aberdeen have a very, very good squad. The two centre-backs previously mentioned, as well as decent defenders. Michael Rose, Clark Robertson, Considine's back, Jack Grimmer's here. Their goalkeeping department isn't fantastic. Robbie Much and Archie Mayer. Ryan Gold is here. Likewise, Andrew Shinney and Graham Shinney. Two sets of brothers at the clubs between them and the Suters. Strikers, not fantastic. Mitch Megginson, Danny Mullen, Bruce Anderson. Bruce Anderson proven in the Premiership though, so will he be able to bag goals for the Reds? He'll have some good supply, especially from Ryan Gold. Each club will also have a local manager for the simulation. In this case for Aberdeen, it will be Scott Booth. Unfortunately for everyone else, Celtic have been blessed. They've got David Marshall back at the club between the sticks. They have a plethora of centre-backs that are Premiership quality and pretty decent Premiership quality at that, other than the fact Declan Gallagher's gone to Dundee United. Craig Halkett's here, Liam Lindsay back in Glasgow, this time with Celtic. Stuart Finlay is here. Decent fullbacks as well, most notably Aaron Hickey and Nathan Patterson, formerly of Rangers, grew up closer to Glasgow. Nicky Devlin also here. Midfielders wise, they are okay as well. Kenny McLean, born and grew up in Rutherglen, he is now at Celtic. Callum McGregor stays at the club. Alan Campbell is here. A couple ageing wingers in Aidan McGeady and Robert Snodgrass. Mikey Johnston still here, but two very, very good Cinch Premiership strikers in Lawrence Shankland, and it's quite well known he was a Rangers fan, and Kevin Nisbet. So Celtic are probably going to fare pretty well. They've got a lot of internationals in the squad, and I reckon they will probably win the league. Aberdeen do well, but Celtic might still win the league, even if they do have Stuart Kettlewell at the helm. Dundee have actually turned out relatively decent. Defensively, they're okay. They have Scott McKenna, born and raised in Kirriemuir, which is closer to Dundee than it is Aberdeen. So that's a blow for Aberdeen, but a big, big plus for Dundee. They have Fifers in their team. Lewis Stevenson is here. Ollie Burke is here. A big coup. That's the word, isn't it? Born in Kirkcaldy, therefore the closest club apparently is Dundee. So there we have it. They've got Blair Alston. They've got a lot of Premiership calibre players and a couple of stars in there as well. Simon Murray could be a very good goal scorer for them, but most notably Charles Bowley, born in Dundee because his father was playing for either Dundee or Dundee United. I've looked at so many players, I can't remember, but he is decent. That is a very, very decent pickup. Fortunate because he was born there. As I said, the rules are a bit muddy and I tried my best, but Charles Bowley, he's here. And Dundee will be managed by Stuart Petrie, formerly of Montrose. Hearts have absolutely lucked out. I say lucked out, they were all born in Edinburgh, there's no luck there. In the goalkeeping department, they have the ageing Alan McGregor, Craig Gordon still at the club, and also Scott Bain. So even in the case of absolute disaster, they'll still have Scott Bain. as their goalkeeper. Paul Hanlon, however, has crossed the divide, having grown up closer to Tynecastle than he did Easter Road. Jason Kerr, formerly of St Johnstone here, and that will probably be the defensive partnership. Fullback-wise, they are seriously struggling, mind you. Murray Davidson is here. Ali McCann, also formerly of St Johnstone, at the club as well. A fantastic midfielder. Jamie Walker is back. Billy King is back. And so is Sam Nicholson. They have a decent amount of strikers, however. Chris Kane, Aaron Presley of Brentford, I believe in real life. The ultimate utility man in Calum. Patterson, who can fill in anywhere. If I was them, I'd probably play him at right back. And Jason Cummings was on the books at Hearts. Left Hearts, or was released by Hearts. Then went to Hibs. Has now become Cumdog. And played in Australia. Played at the World Cup for Australia. Friends with Olivier Giroud. Now playing in India. He's now back at Tynecastle. Across the city to Leith. Hibs aren't so good in the goalkeeping departments. However, providing John McLaughlin doesn't get injured, they will be okay. Ryan Porteous is back at the club, as well as a couple ageing defenders. Josh Doig is here too. It'll be down to them mainly to keep the ball out the back of the net. Jason Holt, formerly of Hearts, now here. Likewise, Ross Callahan. Josh Campbell still at the club. Sam Stanton makes a return. Adam King is somehow here, despite the fact his brother is playing for Hearts. That might be a boo-boo, but I've already simulated, so yeah, oh well. Won't be the first. No, it's the first, won't be the last. Dearie me. Scott Robinson, formerly of Hearts, is here. Louis Vaughan, Wraith Rovers legend, is here. And Mark McNulty. They'll be relying on him to score the goals. I'd argue Hibs not quite as strong as Hearts, but when Hearts are more central to the city, this was always likely to happen. Hearts and Hibs will be respectively managed by John Robertson and Ian Murray. Kilmarnock also have their own set of brothers in Robbie McCrory and Ross McCrory. Defensively, they are pretty good because Grant Hanley, born in the Borders, closest club is Kilmarnock. Jack Hendry, an Ayrshire man, recently moved to Saudi Arabia. You should check out my previous video where I gave Scotland all the money, just like Saudi Arabia. That'll be on the end screen. Jack Hendry's here. A decent pair of centre-backs, as I said. Ross McCrory. Billy Gilmore, though, born in Ayrshire at Kilmarnock. James Forrest and Alan Forrest, they've got two sets of brothers as well, dearie me. On the wings, they're actually pretty good because they've also got Daniel Armstrong, Greg Kiltie and Ben Doak, the Liverpool youngster, along with Ryan Hardy and Ross Stewart to bag the goals for Killie, which I think will mean they probably finish at the top half. In fact, they probably do pretty well. That's a decent strike partnership. They will be managed by Steve Clark. He's back at the club. Livingston. Oh boy, Livingston were a difficult one because they're obviously based between Edinburgh and Glasgow, in case you didn't know, which made things very, very difficult. But I think my research has been relatively decent. They've got Jamie McDonald, formerly of Hearts, most recently of Wraith Rovers, in between the sticks, a decent goalkeeper, as well as Ross Laidlaw to back him up. Danny Wilson, formerly of Hearts, Liverpool and Rangers, is their centre-back, well, their main centre-back, who will be relied upon a lot. Stephen Kingsley's made the transition from Hearts to Livingston. They've got decent fullbacks though. Liam Dick, Jack McMillan, James Penrice, and arguably Adam Montgomery, who could also play there but may feature higher up the field. Craig Sibbald is here. Scott Pittman is here. Scott Arfield, a big acquisition. He is at Livingston, along with Greg Stewart, fellow former Rangers man. And those two, along with Liam Henderson, sorry, I forgot, a big coup, will probably be their star players. Paul McMullen, Jack Aitchison, and Greg Hurst going to be looking to score the goals for the club. I think they'll do okay though, and they'll be managed by Jack Ross, which might help them out. He's managed in the Premiership, even though, you know, maybe it's not ended greatly for him recently. Motherwell will be managed by Celtic assistant John Kennedy. I believe he's from Bells Hill, therefore closest to Motherwell. They've got Scott Fox or John McCracken, the jokes write themselves, between the sticks. They're okay. They're okay. Kieran Tierney will help out their defence a lot, but they do also have Sean Rooney, Stephen Welsh, Anthony Ralston, and O'Donnell. In fact, defensively, they're pretty sound. Mikey Devlin's one of the worst ones, and he's okay. He's decent when fit. They've got good midfielders. Lewis Ferguson, Oni Valakari, who I believe also his dad was playing for Motherwell or something or other. He's Finnish. He's not Finnish, he's only 22, very good, but he's a good player. David Turnbull back at the club, along with Chris Maguire, Nicky Clark's here, McKinstry stays. Johnny Russell, born and raised in Coatbridge, therefore he qualifies to play for Motherwell. And in addition to him, there are 3 other strikers pretty good. Lee Irwin, Tony Watt and Eamon Brophy. Motherwell, again, will do very decent, I feel. Obviously bolstered a lot by that man, Kieran Tierney. Rangers, funnily enough, will be managed by Davy Moyes, as he grew up in Drumchapel, I believe it was. I should not know all this information, but I did my research, okay. They've got 2 very decent shot stoppers between Xander Clark and Liam Kelly. It'll be interesting to see who gets the gloves between them. Other than that, though, obviously they've got some very good players in there. They struggled. It seemed a lot of players in Glasgow were born closer to Celtic Park, interestingly enough. And Ibrox was also closer to Paisley than Celtic Park, which meant there was a bit of a fight between players for them as well. So, it was a tough one. But they do have Cal Naismith, Lewis Mayo still at the club. The McGinn brothers are also here, just the 2 of them, Paul McGinn and John McGinn. Big help. And Andy Robertson as well. So 2 of Scotland's best 3 players. You could probably argue their best 2 players, which will help out Rangers a lot, along with John Fleck and I don't know, Brian Graham. He'll score the goals. Yeah? No, you're not convinced, are you? Ross County will be managed by former Hearts, Celtic and Rangers man Stephen Presley. He was born in Elgin, however that is closer to Ross County than it would be Aberdeen. It's closer to Dingwall than it would be Aberdeen, therefore they get him. Mark Ridgers crossing the divide between Inverness to Ross County, a very decent short stopper. Stuart Armstrong's here, and he's going to have to do a lot of the heavy lifting because Ross County, not very good. Ryan Christie, formerly of Inverness, also here, and likewise GMS. 3 former Celtic attacking midfielders. Those 3 in particular, and Mark Ridgers, are going to have to bail them out because otherwise they are, they're not very good, and probably my favourites to go down, if not St Johnstone, who will be managed by Calum Davidson. Once again, congratulations St Johnstone fans. They've either got really good players or really bad players, and it was a bit of a fight between Dundee and Perth for some players, and also between Perth and then Livingston for players born in sort of central Scotland around the Stirling area. And it seems, well, St Johnstone may be lost out. They've got a very good goalkeeper in Craig McGilvery, formerly of Portsmouth and Charlton, probably most notably. He's going to have a lot to do. Defensively, they're actually okay, though. They've got Andrew Steeves. Why is he rated so good? I don't know, he is actually quite good. Robbie Dees, now of Kilmarnock in real life, is going to have to help out. Liam Gordon, a good centre-back partnership. And, well, Jamie Robson's at left-back, so make that what you will. David Waterspoon, they can't get rid of him in Football Manager anyway. One of their best players. Louis Appery and Stevie May, very highly rated. I think that tells you all you need to know. But they're going to have to score the goals to keep them in the league. And actually, let me know in the comments down below who's going to do worse, Ross County or St Johnstone, because it's very, very hard. St Johnstone maybe have better players distributed throughout the squad. Ross County have 3 good attacking midfielders and a good goalkeeper. It's not looking good. And here we have Paisley St Mirren. They will be managed by Dennis McInnes, born in Paisley himself. They have terrible goalkeepers. Don't know what it is about Paisley, just don't produce them. Otherwise, they're actually pretty decent. They're okay. They've got Lee Ashcroft, they've got Leon King, Mark O'Hara, and Greg Taylor, most notably, probably their best player. They'll do have a good job keeping the ball out of the net, I'm sure. Kyle McGuinness is here, Barry Mackay and Lewis Morgan. Now that's a decent 3 behind the striker. Unfortunately, they don't have a decent striker. Stephen Boyd and Robert Thompson is here. Nicky Lowe, unfortunately, has crossed the divide, I'm sure for him. Morton, he's from Greenock. now playing in Paisley for St Mirren. Sorry, Nicky, but if you want to check out an interview with him, then end screen once again, after this video, obviously. So there we have it for the squads. The Premiership predictions from Football Manager anyway are interesting. Celtic predicted to do very well. Rangers presumably very highly carried by Robertson, and McGinn predicted to finish second. Aberdeen have benefited quite a lot, up to third. Motherwell, then Hearts. I'm not sure. Motherwell have a very, very good squad actually. Kilmarnock, as we know, are decent. I don't know what's happened here. There's no Premiership preview anymore. Hibs predict to finish 7th, struggling against their Edinburgh opposition and rivals in Hearts. Dundee up to 8th. Scott McKenna carry hard. Livingston in 9th. St Mirren in 10th. Fair enough. Ross County, however, predicted to finish above St Johnstone, which I'm not sure about based off the balance of the squads. But you let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you agree with Football Manager? Do you disagree? Let me know. And we'll have a quick look at the Media Dream 11 whilst we're at it. Craig Gordon, between the sticks. Fair enough. That is very reasonable. Definitely a very good goalkeeper. Don't know how he'll do on his return from injury, but probably the best in the league. Not this past season, but the one before. In fact, definitely the best in the league. Nathan Patterson, interestingly at Celtic, apparently going to be the best right back. John Souttar sneaks in for Aberdeen. It's actually Harry Souttar. John Souttar doesn't get in. Kieran Tierney, well, Steve Clarke is probably the manager's Dream 11, manager of the Dream 11, because Kieran Tierney's playing centre back with Robertson at left back. They're both in the squad, of course. They've got to be. Calum McGregor, no surprise. John McGinn is there as well for Rangers, along with Ryan Gauld. So 2 in there for Aberdeen. That's interesting. And despite Ross County being so far down the predicted league table, Stuart Armstrong sneaks in, and likewise Ryan Christie with Ross Stewart, Greg Stewart. Ross Stewart should probably be there over Greg Stewart. I don't agree. Now this will be the 2022-23 season that will be simulated, although Dundee were in the league instead of Dundee United. I just swapped them around because Dundee United Championship, funny. So the teams that played in Europe last season will obviously have that to contend with as well. So Motherwell, they're pretty good. Hearts maybe not so good. Rangers probably pretty decent. Celtic pretty decent. Can't remember who else is there. But a lot of work went into this video. There was over 1,000 database changes and so many Google searches. It was unbelievable. So if you would give this video a like, that would be much appreciated. It was a long, long way in helping me. And please also subscribe because, well, I'm dropping bangers every single week. And I would like to get 1,000 subscribers either by the end of the year or, if you fancy the challenge, by Football Manager 2024. Thanks. Let's simulate. Less of my nonsense. As suspected, the league was won by Celtic. Motherwell, however, a bit of an upset. I thought they would do well. I thought they would finish 3rd or 4th. In fact, finishing 2nd and only 3 points behind Celtic. There was a lot more parity in this league because Celtic only won the league by 3 points. Then again, 3 points between them and Rangers. I imagine John McGinn and Andy Robertson did a lot of the heavy lifting there. And Paul McGinn, I think it was him, not Stephen. Aberdeen, a little bit disappointing, finishing 4th, which I am surprised by. 11 points with Kilmarnock, who we thought would make the top 6 and would do well. Hibs, however, outperformed Heart of Midlothian, which I am surprised by, because I thought out of the Edinburgh players, Hearts were far better off. But apparently not, they finished 5th. Ross County, the surprise of the season, mind you. I thought they would probably get relegated. A little bit voice crack, and that surprised. They finished 7th, miraculously. I'll do an in-depth deep dive of some of the squads to see who was the top performers. But that will be, I imagine, Stuart Armstrong, Guy Mackay-Steven and Ryan Christie. Livingston did pretty decent. They finished 8th, about standard. Hearts, however, as mentioned, disappointing in 9th. Dundee, 10th. They were predicted to finish 8th, I believe. So that's a bit disappointing for them. Scott McKenna maybe got injured. That's all I can blame it on. St Johnstone, however, relegated as suspected, but they didn't finish last. They lost in the playoff to Queen's Park, but they didn't finish last. That was St Mirren. And I would expect them to finish outside the relegation too. But no, stone cold bottom. That's not a saying. Congratulations, Hibernian. They not only did better in the league than Hearts, which I didn't expect, but they also won the Premier Sport / Viaplay Cup against Aberdeen. Who was in the semi-final then? Celtic... Cove Rangers, not even involved, made the semi-final. I didn't expect to even talk about them in this video, but there we are. Celtic knocked out after extra time. Hibs, the winners, required penalties to beat Cove. And the Scottish Cup was won by Motherwell. They beat Celtic 1-0 in the final. A fantastic season for Motherwell, qualifying for the Champions League and also winning the Scottish Cup. Semi-finalists, however, were Ross County. Bloody hell, they've done a lot better. Celtic needed penalties to beat them. And Hibs, as well as winning the Viaplay Cup, got the semi-final of the Scottish Cup and finished above Hearts. Surprising, in any case, Football Manager or real life. Celtic were knocked out of the group stage of the Champions League. Hearts were knocked out of the Conference League group stages. Yeah, Motherwell knocked out of the Conference League 4th qualifying round by Konyaspor. Well, congratulations, commiserations. They won the Scottish Cup, it's fine. And Rangers knocked out in the qualifying rounds of the Champions League, but knocked out in the knockout playoff round by Sevilla in the Europa League. And I also forgot that Dundee United were in Europe, so not even involved in the simulation. Lawrence Shankland was the top goal scorer throughout the league, however, bagging 21 goals. Oni Valakari, the closest, with 13. Bruce Anderson actually did well for Aberdeen with 12, and then some players on 11 and 10. Not many high goal scorers actually in the league. Alan Campbell of Celtic had the most assists with 13, Billy Gilmore with 9, a few players on 8 including Ryan Christie, he's done very well, and then 7 6s. Interesting, parity, that doesn't make sense. David Marshall only conceded 12 goals. He only played 20 games, that makes more sense because Liam Kelly had the most clean sheets for Rangers. He got the gloves over Xander Clark. And he did very well. Toby Oluwayemi's not right. Celtic, null and void. Their title is null and void. He played 17. Why did he play 17 games? He wasn't even meant to be here. Oh, you idiot, Calum. Congratulations to Motherwell, winner of the Scottish Cup and the league, because Celtic cheated through my fault. What is it with Glasgow teams and cheating? Andy Robertson did not enjoy playing at Ibrox. In fact, Rangers were just very aggressive. Robertson, McGinn and Cal Naismith all managed to get more yellow cards than Ryan Porteous and Scott McKenna, which is surprising to all. And Ethan Hamilton had 3 red cards for Hearts. Ross McCrory had 2, then loads on 1. But the highest average rating was Alan Campbell of Celtic. Ryan Christie absolutely carried Ross County, an average of 7.34. Nathan Patterson, 7.24. Kieran Tierney, not surprisingly, having 7.22. And look, you can have a look at some of the rest. A lot of them did very well. Harry Souttar was Aberdeen's top performer. However, Calvin Ramsey, Ryan Fraser, Cameron Burgess and John Souttar all had an average throughout the season of over 7. Very impressive. Then for Celtic, Alan Campbell, Nathan Patterson, Mikey Johnston, surprisingly, Kenny McLean and Callum McGregor. Oh, and Aaron Hickey, all over 7 for them. Dundee, nobody averaged over 7. The closest was Scott McKenna and Archie Meekison. So congratulations to Archie. Heart of Midlothian, well, Mr. Utility Man Callum Patterson, the only player with an over 7 average rating in all competitions, 7.03. So well done to him. In fact, well done to him. Josh Doig, the only one for him, 7.16. Kilmarnock, only 1. Jack Hendry, the fucking airhead, 7.02. And then, well, Livingston. Livingston actually did okay. Grant Savoury, surprisingly, very good for them. So, well done. Well done to you. Greg Stewart and Scott Arfield also over 7 for them. Motherwell, very good. Kieran Tierney, 7.20. Chris Cadden, 7.13, Lewis Ferguson, 7.11, and Johnny Russell, 7.08. So they were their top performers. For Rangers, it was Andy Robertson, naturally. Where is John McGinn? Wow, only 6.92 for John McGinn. Theo Archibald, surprisingly very good, 7.05, and likewise Xander Clark. Ross County, GMS let them down. He didn't play as much. Ryan Christie and Stuart Armstrong, no surprise, by far and away the best players, and then it was Mark Ridgers, as we suspected. St Johnstone, terrible. None of them worth mentioning. Where are the rest of their players? They're probably in the reserves and under 19s, because for some reason they put some of them there. Yeah, St Mirren also just very, very bad. Oh, that's a disappointment. But let's look at Aberdeen again. They're good. Happy? I certainly am happy. I found it very, very interesting finding out who grew up where, try to see which team would have the best crop of players. And if you agree and you found it interesting and you enjoyed it, please do let me know by leaving a like on the video. Don't forget to subscribe if you've not done so already. Help me reach 1,000 subscribers. Every little helps. And if you want to see more, there's new videos every Thursday. But if you want to see more right now, check out one via the end screen. Thank you very, very much and take care.